Sí.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Lewis. Great. We can get started. Really good to see everybody today. Um, let's do a little icebreaker in the chat. Um, why don't I feel like we're all getting to know each other pretty well, so you can just put your favorite Christmas cookie. I personally like the chewy molasses ginger cookies with the sugar on top. Um, but yeah, I'd love to hear what kind of cookie you guys like to eat around this time of year. Um, and is everyone able to see the agenda that I'm sharing? Can you see my screen? Yes, great. Okay, cool. Well, as always, we have a link to that agenda here. And if you scroll down, you can view the agenda in Spanish. So we have so much to cover today, you guys. I was hoping this could be just sort of a fun end of the year meeting, but I have tons of updates for you. So bear with me. I hope I get to answer all your questions and we get to talk about everything to the extent that you all need to. So um, yeah, we'll just jump right in here. So I'll start with, our reminders that our quarterly reports are due end of January 31st. Sorry, yeah, end of January for the period of October through December. As you know, this quarterly report is going to focus less on what did you all do in October, November, December, and more on how are we thinking about moving forward? What are our strategic plans with this contract for the next 2 years? So, um, was there anyone who was unable to see those new questions on the quarterly reporting sheet that was shared with you? I know we've made a lot of different sheets in our processes of quarterly reporting. So please let me know if the sheet you're looking at and you're referencing doesn't have new questions on it. On that same line, please, let's just stick to that one spreadsheet. I know some of you have been making like duplicate spreadsheets for each quarter. I think for simplicity, let's just keep all reporting on the same spreadsheet so we always have that link and we can refer back on the same document to what's happened in the past with this, with this work. So again, if there's anyone in your Outreach and TA group who needs access to that spreadsheet, we'll share that with them. How you do your reporting is going to be up to you. But yeah, I'm really excited to read your strategic plans that are going to come in with this quarterly report. Last thing in this housekeeping item, a lot of you have done a really good job submitting your invoices for the end of the year. Please, to your best ability possible, get in as many invoices from this calendar year and this first contract period as possible. I know a lot of you we've seen a lot of activity with submitting invoices in the past week, which is great. Blaze, if you don't mind giving John a nudge to send those invoices that he has, that would be awesome. Yeah, we want to try to get as close to even as we can with paying you out for the work that you've done this year. So I know invoicing takes a long time, but as many invoices as you can get in, the better. So thank you. All right. So the huge effort that we all pulled off in the past couple of weeks is all of you were able to sign your contract extension, which was really exciting. I want to thank everybody for turning that around so quickly. So just to, you know, let you all know where these funds came from. I think we've talked about this in the past, but CDA had a big bucket of money that was for a small portion was for CDA administrative stuff, my salary, Adonai's salary, part of Michelle's salary, other things, overhead costs at CDA. Also coming from that bucket was all of the grants that we awarded that many of you helped get out there. So the last part of that bucket of funds went to outreach and technical assistance contracts. So after we finished the second round of awarding, we looked at the funds that remained. This was not something we could have predicted, when we started this grant, but we saw, okay, we've got some funds left. The department really felt strongly that the best use of those funds was to continue working with all of you. So we took the remainder that was left over after we awarded all of the grants, and then we pulled a little bit from our administrative bucket at CDA to make that number about the same as what you all had been working with for this past year. So I'm telling you all this because one, I want you to know how important we feel you are. Two, I really believe that this is something that we want to be an example for other programs coming out of government or anywhere that are trying to reach businesses that typically don't access funds like this. I think this should be a model for other programs. So I think that's something I want you all to know. We want to be an example. We want to show our outcomes from the work that we're doing. And it's my hope that even at the end of 2026, we have demonstrated the impact of doing work like this in such a way that we can identify funds to keep this work going. And maybe there are other government programs that adopt a similar model of having technical assistance providers and outreach providers in community, talking to business owners or nonprofits or individuals about how to take advantage of resources like this that have a lot of specifics, have a lot of paperwork, and funds can go to the right place. So one thing I do want to mention with this contract, I made sort of a general version of it, which is in your shared folder. I hope you'll take a look at it, even if you weren't the signer of the contract. Just so you can see, this is our shared agreement between outreach and technical assistance providers and the Department of Agriculture. So I'll just bring your attention to Exhibit A here. We've got, definitions, the project description, and this shouldn't be anything new or crazy. The deliverables we expect from you guys. And we have put in bold anything that's new with this contract extension. We did make some changes here to the invoicing cadence. What I'll say about that is that we're just looking for a regular cadence with invoicing. So yeah, ideally not too much time will pass between when the work occurs and when you're able to submit that invoice. But the most important thing is that we're getting invoices from you guys on a regular cadence. And many of you have all done an excellent job with that. Even if you're not preparing the invoice for CDA, I do encourage everyone working on this project to read what the invoicing requirements are, because they're a whole lot like what the requirements for proof of payment are from grantees and tax credit applicants. So, you know, this is really relevant to the work that we're contracting with you to do. So, yeah, you can see some fairly detailed invoicing requests here in Exhibit A. And then Exhibit B, you'll see the table with all of the activities and deliverables expected from contractors from this past contract, so fiscal year 24, which is, yeah, which is wrapping up. And then for the remaining, this is sort of the new stuff with the contract extension is listed here. So please do take a look at what's new, you know, what our shared expectations are. And then note on the budget, for those of you who are looking at that budget, you'll note that it's a lot more simplified compared to that first budget that we have in our original contract. We simplified that because we know, you know, some of your rates will change. You guys may get promotions. So we didn't want to have to correct a contract if rates were going up. I do just want to mention that what we expect to see is the same, even though the budget is a little bit more simplified, right? So in terms of pay stubs and rates and all of that. So, yeah. Are there any questions about this? Yeah, the contract extension. Okay, cool. And again, thank you for signing it. We are really, really excited to keep working with you guys. Okay, so next topic of discussion. We are really in the thick of things. So the timing of when a large portion of our grantees were paid, makes it so their 3-month deadline to submit proof of payments is kind of crescendoing all around this time of year, which is a little unfortunate. But we do need help with the effort of checking in with those grantees, reminding them what they need to submit, and talking about deadlines. And if they need a deadline extension, that is perfectly fine. We have a lot of flexibility to extend timelines. But if we don't hear from someone and we don't know they need an extension, we're left with very little options. So in the past month, we came very close to needing to audit 3 businesses, which, as Hunter put so eloquently, nobody wants to do, right? It's a negative experience for everyone, but we are unfortunately held to this attestation that grantees signed, right? They signed an attestation saying, I know what I have told you what I am going to buy, and I promise to buy it and prove that I've bought it within a 3-month time period, or let you know otherwise, right? If we don't have any communication from a grantee about what their plan is, or that they've spent the money in the right way, we will have to go out there and check to see that they spent those funds, you know, according to their attestation. And yeah, if they fail the audit, we have no other choice but to claw the money back. Again, nobody wants to do that. Adonai is sending multiple emails and calling to give folks many reminders as their 3-month time period comes up. We could use your help as a secondary person reminding these folks of what they agreed to, right? So we have about 100 grants that are still open. So we're in the process of getting paperwork coming in from folks across the state. And yeah, Adonai, do you want to add any requests for folks here in this meeting? Adonai, can you hear me? Okay.
Sí, gracias, Miki. Pues sí, solo recordarles que por favor chequen la guía de la prueba de pago, que es el documento que le enviamos a a todos los subvencionados, y ahí pueden encontrar toda la información de lo que estamos esperando recibir. Eh, Muchas veces recibimos solamente como, oh, sí, necesito más tiempo, pero no tenemos una fecha definida, y eso pues también es muy importante porque pues sí, no podemos estar como sin una fecha. Necesitamos decir, sí, necesito más tiempo, pero necesito que sea esta fecha en concreto. Como información más en concreto, no necesitamos las fotos de los equipos, del trabajo y de los proyectos son muy bien recibidas, pero necesitamos la evidencia de facturas, de recibos, cheques, transferencias, estados de cuenta. Eso es lo que es más importante que necesitamos.
Thanks. Yeah. So as we've noted a couple times, everyone should be experts in this proof of payment guide. So yeah, what we are looking for from you is just check in on those businesses in your region who received a grant. How are we doing on that proof of payment? When is your deadline? Can I help you with anything? And coming and knowing what they need to submit from us, which, you know, this is very similar to the kind of invoicing requirements that we're asking of contractors. That's going to be a huge help to us as we receive paperwork, status updates, contract extension, or line extension requests from all of these 100 grantees. So any questions about that?
Yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
How are we gonna know who is like in compliance with you and who's not? Because I think I have a feeling that a handful of people have like already submitted everything and they're good, and I don't really want to bother them. But I don't know how to find out where they're at in the process with you guys.
Yeah. This is like that continual challenge of just all of the communications of like where everybody's at. I wish we had like a status tracker that was viewable to everyone. What I'll say is it's okay to just check in. You know, there's a couple of new opportunities that can be, you know, bundled in with a check-in. So, you know, you don't need to, like, a light touch of how's it going? Are you all finished with your grant? Is there anything else you need to submit? Do you have any outstanding deadlines? I'm happy to help you with that. If you're all set, you know, have you engaged with the consortium at all? Are you thinking about utilizing or taking advantage of the tax credit? Let me know if you want to get together to chat about anything related to CDA. But yeah, Jay, I think for your region, there's so few that we can pretty easily go through and give you a little status update. But I think just generally for this whole group, you know, that relationship building and checking in with those businesses isn't a terrible thing.
Well, there's
And
also sort of the case that like we didn't help a handful of them. They applied without ever talking to us.
Mhm.
And it's sort of weird. I mean, I remember there was a thing around you weren't even sure that you could share who they were with us at one point, like who had applied. And so I just want to make sure we're not crossing any boundaries by contacting people that we haven't really had that direct communication with, and if that's not going to look like you're sharing their information with us.
Yeah, I would say so you do have the names of all the businesses who receive grants. So I would say if you have never spoken with them before, or they're not part of your network, yeah, this would be a great opportunity to say, hey, I'm Jay, I'm Ava with San Luis Valley Local Foods Coalition. I know you were able to take advantage of this grant. Just wanted to let you know I'm here as a contractor in the region. If you need any help with reporting for that, or if you want to take advantage or talk about some of the other opportunities through the program. So yeah, it's not an issue. I mean, trust me, I was just as frustrated as all of you that we were told by our compliance team at that time that we had to sort of pump the brakes on oversharing. Yeah, that has been really frustrating that we haven't had clear direction on, what does count as oversharing and what doesn't. But it is now public information. Like, we have these business names posted on our website. So it's not a violation for you who's contracted with CDA to know that they got a grant and to offer to help. Whether they take you up on that or not is their prerogative. I do just feel that it will help us a ton to hear from another source besides myself and Adonai that there are reporting requirements for this. And yeah, when you can offer yourself as someone to help, that could be well received. Great question. Does anyone have other thoughts along those lines? Can you ask compliance team for newer guidance? Good question, Brandy. So yes, so okay, a lot of this hesitation kind of came up before Brandy, you guys were even contracting with us. So this was like the end around this time last year, where, before CDA had announced who the grantees were, before, before folks had received funds. So we are in kind of a different stage here where it's public information who was awarded a grant. And yeah, I think the guidance from you all last month, with every application we can put a question of who, is there someone that you give consent to sharing your information with? That's going to really help us going forward with the tax credit. But yeah, does that help a little? Sort of a vague answer, but we are in sort of there's a big difference between last year at this time when nobody publicly knew who the grantees were versus now where all those names are on our website. Great questions. Anything else on this topic? Okay. All right, so now the other big news. So about 3 weeks ago, I sent all of you the draft of the proposed changes that the department is planning to make on the rules around the tax credit. So again, as I mentioned in that email, through feedback from all of you, going through this process for the first time, receiving applications from businesses, and getting a lot of stakeholder feedback in this first year, we have identified some things that need to change to better align the way we're implementing this program with the way the intent of the legislation. There's also a lot we've learned working in collaboration with the Department of Revenue about how to actually roll out a tax credit program. We're one of the very first tax credit programs to ever even exist at the Department of Agriculture. So all of this is going into our proposed rule changes. So you'll see, if you click on this, it'll automatically, wait, will it? Okay. Oh, no, yeah, okay. It does. It automatically downloads the draft of the new rule. And you can clearly see where there's red lines, blue lines, where the department is looking to make changes. So, as many of you may remember or know already from working with government, rule making and rule changing is a very, very formal process. It involves the Commissioner of Agriculture. It involves the Agricultural Commission. It involves the Department of Regulatory Affairs. It involves a public hearing where everyone can come and make comment on how they feel about the changes that the department's making or proposing to make. Goes back to the Ag Commission. It goes back to the, Commissioner. The Attorney General's office weighs in. Secretary of State publishes the rule, and then if everything is adopted and approved, it becomes effective. So this is a very formal process, and it's designed to get feedback from the public about what government is doing, right? So I highly encourage all of you who have a really intimate knowledge of this program to take a look at that rule change, those proposed rule changes, and either attend the hearing or submit a formal public comment to our department in order to express your thoughts, either support or not support of something we're proposing to change. All of that will be read, will be part of the official record, and will be taken into consideration. So please read through that rule and bring your comments to the hearing. The hearing is unfortunately, so what I just described, this very lengthy formal process of making changes, takes a really long time. The absolute earliest we could make these changes would be March 17th, which we'll talk about. But we did want to make those changes as fast as possible. And unfortunately, it made it so that our hearing is one of the worst days it could have been. It's December 30th at 8:30 in the morning. So that's the middle of the holidays. I want you all to know that we do really value your thoughts and your feedback, and you don't have to attend the hearing to make a public comment. You can submit it in writing in advance of that hearing, and it will be read at the hearing and incorporated into the official record. So if you can't make it on New Year's Eve in the morning, that's fine. But I do want to really stress that you are very valued stakeholders, and we hope that you'll read that rule and submit comments if you have them in that formal and official way. I do also want to note that we have translated the rule into Spanish down below here. So check that out if you prefer to read in Spanish. Okay, but the big thing to alert you all about is, assuming these rules are adopted, they would not become effective until March 17th. So this puts us in a really funky situation, right? Because the rules will be adopted January 15th, assuming they are adopted. And then there's this 2-month period where all these formal processes are happening, and the new rule, 2 months later, it's actually effective. So until the new rule is effective, the current rule will stand, but it's going to get really confusing if we have multiple sets of instructions on the website. So what we plan to do is announce our application periods for 2025 on January 1st. And the application periods will be, basically the application will not be open while we're between rules. We will plan to open the application on March 17th, and the first period will be through the end of June. And then July 1 through September 30th will be our second review period, and then October through December. So that's a really important piece for you all to know. This is what we plan to do, because it will affect how you can do outreach and technical assistance. In that between rule time, between January 15th and March 17th, we're going to take down a lot of information on the website to reduce confusion. And it's also kind of a legal matter of someone saying, oh, well, on this website, it said that things were this way, when really, they're going to be, there just could be a lot of confusion. Not that a whole lot is changing about the program, but there are critical things that, if confused, could be, really tough for a business owner. So we're going to have to take down a lot of information on the website and basically say, this program is between rules. We plan to open the application on March 17th when the new rule becomes effective. We will have links on the website to both the current rule and the new rule. But a big question you all are probably asking is, well, what do we do during that time as outreach and TA providers? It's important to remember that businesses can still incur eligible expenses during that anytime in 2025 and apply for a tax credit in 2025. So someone could buy a walk-in cooler on January 15th, January 1st even, and still submit their application in March to be reviewed after June 30th and receive a tax credit. So it will be important for you guys to know both rules, and still make plugs, as you see fit for this equipment tax credit. It will be a time when you want to think about this, right? Because you won't have a website really to reference to, which is challenging. But with the inroads you have made with these businesses, you can still be talking about the intricacies and the nuances and how this will all roll out and help us communicate what we're doing and what we're changing with this program. So besides promoting the tax credit, you can still promote the consortium and the consortium tax credit. Again, we do need help at that time with grantees submitting their proof of payment paperwork. So wouldn't it be lovely to have March 17th come around and have all the grantees done? We're kind of hoping that this period will allow us to catch up a little bit, at CDA, catch up with grant stuff and have most of the grantees finished by March. It'll also give us a little bit of time to transfer over the application to our new piece of software that's going to be more effective and help get our communications shored up so that when March 17th does come, we can have a really beautiful website, all the materials you all need for promotion, and be in a state where we're ready to kind of just fully focus on tax credit outreach in PA. Of course, during this, the first couple months of the year, you can also be really working on that implementation plan for the strategic goals that you laid out in your quarterly progress report. We'll definitely want to be checking in after after you submit that quarterly progress report to talk about ways to use money you didn't spend maybe in this contract, ways to reach an area that we see as a priority area that we currently don't have a subcontractor or many inroads in. This is going to be a great time to focus on the strategic plan. And then always, continuing to build those relationships with those hard to reach businesses who are really, goals for our program to reach. So that was a whole lot. What questions can I answer about this tax credit rule change process? Marian, go ahead.
Thank you. I couldn't find the raising of the hand. So I had two questions. Number one is, what is the consortium tax credit? I don't think I know what that is. That's more specific to only consortium members, or I'm not sure how that works in.
So does anyone else want to answer that one? We talked about it in, I think it was the October monthly meeting. No pressure.
My brain is obviously dead.
Don't worry about it, Marian. I want to give someone else a chance to talk if they want to jump in on the consortium tax credit.
Sure.
I think that it is for their delivery fees. Any fees incurred in getting that produce delivered to them is what they can get reimbursed. And is it 100%, Mickey, or is that like 75%?
You nailed it, Jay. It is the same percentage as the equipment tax credit. So it's in 2024, it's 85%. Going forward, it's 75%. And it's those delivery fees. Marian.
Thank you. I did know that. I just didn't realize that was called the consortium tax credit.
No worries.
My second question relates to the consortium recording. I believe that, one of my applicants sent me an email or called me and asked if I had a recording to that first meeting that potential consortium members or the ones that were already approved could attend. And I couldn't find anything on the website about that. And so I have submitted a question, but I thought a quick answer might be now, so that they could review that recording.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we will just jump to the consortium. Thank you for bringing up these questions. So as many of you know, we had our first consortium meeting on December 5th. I was so pleased with how it went. I was really excited. We had tons of businesses there. There was tons of engagement, lots of questions, lots of topics. And it was just really, well, I don't know if exciting is the right word, but it was sort of reassuring to hear that, yeah, there's these problems that the legislation has identified as an issue and that we've seen in grant applications truly are big issues, right? So lots of really good discussion. And everybody here has, if you can click on this link, it will show you a follow-up email that was sent to all consortium members. And you'll see the link to the recording on there. So all of you have been added to that consortium listserv. Unfortunately, it was after this email was sent, but that email is, yeah, you can access that, all the information in that email. Let me just click on it so we can look at it. So Marion, this is the email that the business you were talking to, they did receive this, right? It's instead of hello, Colorado Department of, it said hello, their first name, their consortium member number here, and then link to the meeting recording, and then a plug for the survey we're hoping we can get folks to take. We're asking them about when's best to meet, what are your challenges, what do you want to discuss? Marion, to your question about what's the consortium tax credit, we covered that in the recording around minute 23. And yeah, they have a lot of information in their resource folder, and you guys have it too in yours, about how to apply for that consortium tax credit. And then I put some general topics that were brought up at that meeting here. And then, yeah, just an invitation for anyone who wants to connect immediately with other consortium members. And then of course we have it all in Spanish. So, yeah, Marion.
So my follow-up question is, I did not hear from the same applicant that asked me for the recording. I did not hear if he received this email. One of my issues for several of the Hispanic stores is they don't very follow up very much through email. They operate a lot better under text, mostly because they're super busy every single day serving their customers. So my question is, could we be on this email? And it kind of leads me to my second question, which is still a little bit confusing as to who can apply and who can't. I know the ones for sure the ones who won a grant opportunity, and the person I'm talking about is a winner in a grant, and I'm working with him on the tax credit. That's how come he brought it up to me. I would not have known any of this had he not brought that to my attention. So I'm just asking if somehow I could be copied on an email that would go to them if I've worked with them in the past.
So yes, so everyone on this call was added to that consortium listserv. You were added after this email was sent, but you are on that listserv. So you will get those emails, and we would love it if you get an email that says, hey, take a survey, apply for this tax credit, join the meeting. Yeah, if you could help us, nudge folks who, should be at those meetings, but they're not checking their email. Fortunately, we don't have a text capacity with this constant contact communication. So yeah, you being in the loop and knowing.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say thank you. Just if I am aware of it, I will definitely follow up. I don't need a text. It's just that I didn't know any of this, so that's why I'm bringing it up. Now you're clarifying that I will know, and maybe that goes to the second question. Can we apply to be part of the consortium? Because on another call, you did say that, and then the rules became a little more strict as to who can apply and who can't to be members.
So the legislation lays out that members of the consortium are small food retailers, Colorado producers. So in a technical sense, and the reason it's technical, Marian, is because there is government money going to members, and membership is a it qualifies you to access certain financial opportunities. So in a technical sense, consortium membership is only open to the types of entities that the legislation outlines, but you all are invited to be at the consortium meetings. I've added you all to the consortium listserv, and you have access to these materials in the shared folder, which is what all consortium members have access to, so that you can know what their opportunities are and you can support them. So this is shared in your, in your shared folder here, Marian. So up your contractor resources folder has links to those opportunities for consortium members.
Thank you so much. My only last question is this document that you've been working on, I came late, so I can't see it in my chat. If you could put it in there one more time, then I will have it
This
permanently.
agenda? Is that what we're talking
Yes,
about, this agenda?
Yes,
Sure, yeah, so
thank you.
this, and Marian, just to reiterate, all of these agendas live in the same folder. So
Okay,
in your contractor resources folder, you can go to meetings,
yep,
and then you'll
Okay.
see all of the agendas. And then you'll even see
Yes.
this sheet that has the links to every meeting recording we've ever had. So yeah, I encourage you to
Great.
just really get to know that contractor resources folder.
Yeah, I just didn't do it before the meeting. Sorry.
No worries.
Hey, I'm behind. for
No
sure.
worries.
Thank you.
Sure. Absolutely. Okay, so questions about the consortium. We are right now reviewing the responses to that survey we talked about. That will help us know when to schedule the next meeting. So we're going to meet on a quarterly basis on Zoom. What time of day, what day of the week, and then also help us sort of focus in on what we should be talking about at that meeting. We want to make these meetings, every single one, pack a lot of punch and really be worth someone's time to attend, because as Marian said, these folks are really, really busy. So we don't want to just have a meeting just to have a meeting. Even though there is always benefit to meeting, we want it to contain a lot of really useful information that people feel is worthwhile. So, okay. So going back up here, for equipment tax credit applications, I want to just really reiterate that all this rule changing that we're in the middle of, that's not going to impact any applications that are for the 2024 calendar year. So if you're in the middle of working with someone on an equipment tax credit application, you don't need to stress about the rule process at all. I wanted to ask, we've seen a handful of applications coming in, even though it's well before the deadline. We're seeing that a lot of these folks have been working with some of you, which is so awesome to see. I'm wondering if anyone is in the middle of working with a business on an equipment tax credit application or a consortium tax credit application and you want to talk about any aspect of it with the group. I know we're coming down to the wire. We only have 2 more weeks to submit that. Is there anyone in the middle of this process? Great, Marion. Do you have any questions about it?
I kind of do, because these two folks they've just been working very hard to get all their things done in order to be able to apply for something.
Mhm.
This is kind of the similar problem of getting them to show proof of payment.
Mhm.
My applicants have extra expenses related to money they spent for installation of equipment related to receiving that money in the contract. And vendor delays have made it impossible for them to really determine how much they're going to be able to or will need to pay over the amount they received in order to be able to apply for the tax credit. So in these 3 cases, we're down to the wire at the very last week of December. That's the best I can offer at this time.
Yeah, we've talked to businesses too, Marion, who it's just like
Yeah.
it's just like bad luck of timing, where between delays from the supplier side or the contractor side, they're not going to be able to demonstrate that they overpaid until next year, but the payment will actually, like the payment for the equipment will have been in 2024, which is, yeah, the legislation is so clear that the equipment has to have been purchased in the year,
Yeah.
the tax year.
Well, in all these cases, the equipment has been purchased. I think it's finally reaching the last parts of installation. For instance, in the Broomfield store, there was, the problems have been strictly logistics between the vendor and the actual work, the store. It's not due to lack of payment or lack of money or lack of time. It's really equipment delivery and installation at a period of time when a lot of people are on vacation. It's Christmas, you already know. I'm just saying, we're down to the wire. So expect some applications to be submitted before the 31st.
Which is great. We're gonna be, dropping everything to review these tax credit applications in the new year, which is something I wanted to bring up with you guys. Because a big thing to remember is the businesses who apply for an application, apply for a tax credit certificate, they need to receive that certificate before they file. So if they file their taxes before the Department of Revenue knows that they got a certificate, a tax credit certificate, they will get denied. And then they'll say, what do you mean I'm going to get this certificate? Well, the Department of Revenue doesn't know that. So we are currently grappling with the fact that we don't know how many applications will come in before the 31st. We have to follow a very strict process of who gets awarded first, second, third, etc., which is outlined in our rule. We have to stick to that. But we are not able to, these businesses won't be able to file their taxes until they get that certificate from us. So if folks are planning to file in April, probably won't be a big deal. But if someone was planning to file January 1st, they need to wait until they get that certificate from us. And this is our first time processing consortium tax credit applications. It's only our 3rd time processing equipment tax credit applications. We don't have a sense of how long it will take them to get their certificate. So, what I would say is it doesn't matter if their application's coming in by the 31st, make sure they get it in. And then, despite us having quite a bit of work to do with grantees and proof of payment, our team is going to basically fully focus on processing tax credit applications so that we can get those moving and get those certificates out as soon as humanly possible so that folks can file their taxes and hopefully get that certificate and get a nice check in the mail. So yeah, we're just learning all of this for the first time. So we appreciate you helping folks, helping them understand what's required. And, you know, we will be, if you have questions through the holidays because you're working with someone, please don't hesitate to send us questions. You know, we're gonna be focused on this as well through the holidays. So
More reason to celebrate at midnight.
it will be quite a celebration at midnight. Okay, any other comments, questions about tax credit applications? Okay. Well, the only other thing I wanted to go through with you guys is, you know, I'm very aware of how much information is coming at you from us. You know, I'm really looking forward to a time where these meetings are more of a discussion and more feedback and more of you all helping each other. But with so many new programs, us learning so much every single day about how we need to roll these out. Yeah, I realize it's a lot of just updates from us. So in order to hopefully help you guys sort through what's the priority right now, I am sticking to updating this numbered list. So biggest priority, I would say, for you guys as outreach and TA providers, submit any invoices from this year as best you can. Number two would be helping, you know, actively reaching out and helping grantees understand that you're there and available to help them submit documentation to prove that they bought their equipment or whatever they said they would buy with their grant. And again, please, if you don't feel like an expert on this guide yet, that's a high priority thing to become very familiar with. You know, again, as Marianne brought up, you know, we do have this deadline of December 31st for businesses who have bought costly equipment or are members of the consortium and they've incurred delivery fees. If they want to take advantage of these tax credits, we do have a deadline coming up really quick. So, you know, I know you all have been talking about this and reaching out to folks. So I'm not asking you to, you know, a week before Christmas to just do a mad blast and, you know, offer up all of your free time to help people get their costly equipment applications in for a tax credit. But if you have been working with someone, you know, help them meet that deadline. You know, read that proposed rule change. We'll be talking a lot about this in the new year, assuming the rules are adopted. Please give us feedback in that formal way. You'll see this is that formal and official notice of the rulemaking hearing. This is the Google form here to indicate that you are coming and register for the hearing. If you don't want to come, but you do want to submit a comment, please send it to this email address. Okay. And then, yeah, sort of the less urgent priorities. is that strategic planning with your outreach and PA team. You know, again, we are going to enter this phase where the tax credit application will be open until the middle of March. So really thinking about January, February, half of March, can we focus on getting a good strategic plan down that we can, you know, implement in the coming years? And then, as always, continue learning about our brand new consortium and the offerings we have through it. So yeah, watching the meeting recording in English or Spanish. I'm just going to pause right here because does everybody know that when you're watching a recording, you can play it back at 2 times the speed? Does everybody do that? Marion, do you do that?
No,
Okay. I want to show you how to do it because,
I know how to do it, but what's
oh,
the
great.
purpose of?
Well,
I mean, show it definitely. I just
okay.
meant, I didn't
Okay.
understand what the value in it is.
Well, the value, Marion, is that I'm a slow talker. And you can often get just the same information half the time by clicking this little wheel right here, going to playback speed and
Yep.
hitting as fast as you want, or you can slow me down. But I just thought for you guys watching recordings, helpful to remember that you can, yeah, can save some time there. Yeah, watch those recordings from the consortium. And then, yeah, start to really read up on how to apply for those consortium tax credits. This is new for everybody. We are really excited. We do anticipate we'll get some consortium tax credit applications coming in. We had a lot of feedback after the first meeting that, yeah, folks are excited to take advantage of it. And then look through that consortium member resource folder, which, yeah, you all have access to, and then encourage those businesses to fill out the survey. It shouldn't take too long. Marion.
I have one last question related to joining the consortium. I had a person who is a farmer but does not have a farm, does not, for the new season, does not have a farm stand. Really, it has nothing put together yet for his new season, and he applied and he was accepted with only one exception, and that is that he applied for SNAP. Under the guidelines, it doesn't seem to me possible that he should be a member, so I'm confused. Sorry, but seems to be my thing lately. It's confusion.
Right. So intent to, yeah, has he submitted a SNAP application?
No, he was told your application is approved pending you applying for SNAP. So that's a bigger, longer process. I'm not sure where he is in that, but when he first contacted me and wanted to, well, first I told him about it. That was months ago. Then he told me he was going to apply, and I said, well, you better wait until I confirm the guidelines. Then I reread the guidelines, and it was too late. He had already applied. And then a week later, he said, guess what? I got accepted. So you can understand my confusion.
So I think, so we've been talking about this, but you know, again, most of the financial benefits from the consortium are really only available to the retailers in the consortium. So we know this, and it was kind of confirmed. There were a couple farmers in the call. And the first meeting was mostly about what are your benefits? How do you take advantage of them? And we had a farmer in the call say, you know what, a lot of this meeting isn't relevant to me, so I'm logging off, but great to meet everyone and excited to be part of this consortium. So, you know, I'm bringing this up because, right, there's this challenge of building this consortium that can have benefit to these two business types. The main benefit of this consortium for farmers will be connection to retailers to expand their businesses. But Marion, to be honest, first we've got to build that retailer base. First we
Oh,
have
I
to,
agree.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm in total
So-
agreement. But my
yeah,
confusion was I told him this, he
Yeah.
ignored it, or in the cross of the communication, he went and applied, and then I thought, well, you'll catch it in the application. And then all of a sudden he got approved. And so I was like, okay, hey, better, I mean, you're right. It's to make the connections. Have the people
why don't
that
you
they can
hang
talk
on
to.
after the call and we can like look at who this specifically is and what
Okay,
happened, because
okay.
yeah. Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. I don't think we've approved anyone that doesn't meet that eligibility requirements, but we'll look at it together.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, cool. And then last but not least, just that constant connection with those businesses. Trust building, yeah, connecting with your team, keeping up with invoicing. Yeah, and chipping away at the big challenges here with this, yeah, the direction of this work. So those are the outreach and TA priorities right now. And that's all I had for us in this meeting. Is there any comments or questions about anything at all? Okay.
Oh, wait, I came up with one.
Go ahead.
I'm, or I don't know, Ava told me, that one of our retailers got a whole lot of money back through the tax credit. And I'm very excited about that, but I'm not sure if that is ever going to be made public. And so I'm, planning to get a testimonial from them about that, but I'm curious, are you guys going to publish who received the tax credit on your site like you did with the grant?
That's a good question. Yeah, that's something we haven't really even talked about. We are just so in the mindset of rolling this out, honestly, Jay. But we do need to think about, when do we make statements? When do we publish this? When do we look at outcomes? Let me talk to my communications team about that. I would say, yeah, it's hard to answer that question. I would think that, like, if they're okay with you talking about that effort, and they're, yeah, I think going into this next phase, examples like that are going to be the most valuable way to do outreach, right? Because this is so, intangible. This tax credit money isn't even coming from CDA to the business. It's going through Department of Revenue. And in some cases, it's just a subtraction from their taxes. So it's all very abstract. And so I do really want to utilize examples like this so other businesses can see what they did, how much they got, and yeah, think about that in a more tangible way. So I definitely hear you. I did just send that email like yesterday though, I think. So
He texted me immediately and I had to text next. I mean, that's huge. And I want to be able, and I'll ask that business, but I really want to be able to promote. I mean, when we can say that in our outreach around this, people's ears are going to perk up and go, what? I could get that much reimbursed, or, it's that, and, the amount of the grant. And I'm curious if you let the other TA providers know how much money they all, brought into their community for the grant. But that's like serious talking points for the Local Foods Coalition. And I want to talk about it, but I need to know what you guys, I just don't know. And it's probably kind of up to that business, but it's like, I don't want to share that financial information of theirs if it's an issue on y'all's end or on their end.
So let me just ask around, like, I don't know if Department of Revenue cares that we share that. I doubt it, but is there a certain point at which it's like, okay, go talk about it? I think, Jay, what you're bringing up is something I want everyone to hear, that if you want to talk loudly about this work you've been doing, we fully support it. We want you to, IAVA worked really hard with this business at pretty much every step of the way. So yes, I do want this to be a talking point. And I'm glad that you're bringing this up because, yeah, it's really important to share out what this is doing. So yeah, I think let's just give me a minute to reach out to folks and see if there's any issue with that. And then we can come up with a process for, everyone to know when we have the green light to put out a press release or put in a newsletter or talk about it. Lauren from Good Food Collective did a segment on a local news station about the work they've been doing. So yeah, one, we want to know if you're planning to share this because we want to share it as well. But I think the question of like what's the process, and then what do we need to be careful about, and at what point do we have the go ahead? So I'll look into that.
My other question on that would be, can you give us a report or an email after each reporting period? So like, let's say after December 31st, and once you guys figure it out, who's getting these tax credits, can you send us, and like me, the email with like, this is the total amount your area received, or even more specific information, like each of these businesses received this much. I'm not sure if that, because I suspect you sent that business that email and then they told IAVA. I don't know if you told IAVA directly, but like I don't know how we're gonna know how effective we are unless you tell us.
So that's kind of like the new process we've implemented, which is like another question saying, is there someone who you want CC'd? So yeah, I CC'd IAVA on that communication and she replied before he did. So yeah, I think let me just ask whoever might object. Yeah, this is public information. These are taxpayer dollars, right? It should be public, but is there anything that we want to protect? Let me do a little digging here. And then, yes,
let us know, because it's such a good way for us then to keep promoting this program and talking up what, CDA, when we see the effectiveness of it in our communities.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, I think that report is a really cool idea. Let me just see who might object to that. It is also just like, a matter of pulling it all together. We don't have a ton of tax credits we've issued yet, so it doesn't seem like that much work right now, but like how can we, I think this is such good feedback that you guys continually give us. How can we communicate better with all of you so that you can do your work better through this contract? So yeah, thanks for that, Jay.
Happy to give you more work to do.
Thanks so much. The other thing that made me think of is we are shooting for around March for sending out. So when we talk about, reporting back from grantees reporting back to CDA the required documentation, we're just talking about proof of payment. That's all they really technically need to do to satisfy the requirements of the grant. However, as you all know, most grants require a little bit of like, how'd it go? What was the impact of this money you got? So we will be working on a short, report. I'm hesitant to even call it a report. We're going to be asking just a few quick questions. How has this grant impacted your business? How has this grant advanced the goals of the program? Obviously we want to make it really simple, easy for grantees to fill out. We are targeting March to send that out to grantees who are done with their project. They've built their walk-in, they've, expanded their program, and there's been some months to actually see a little bit of impact from what they did with the grant. So that too, Jay, will be really helpful in communication, right? Because we'll be able to talk about not just, this program, invested this many hundreds of dollars in this region, but the impact of that is demonstrated here. So all of that will be a goal. We don't want to send that report too early because some folks have not spent their money yet. And even if they have, they really haven't had enough time to see an impact from it. So we want to find that sweet spot of sending out reports to folks when, enough time has passed that they've seen an impact, but not so much time has passed that they've forgotten all about this grant and the specifics. So, yeah, that's another thing on our docket, things to do in the early months of the year. And yeah, we hope to have some really cool talking points from that effort. Any other comments, questions, complaints? Okay. Well, Marion, if you want to hang around, we can investigate the business you were talking about. But everyone else, have a great holiday. Thanks for coming today. And don't be a stranger if you got questions in the next couple weeks about meeting deadlines or whatever.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Gracias.
Be